She holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me.
And welcome, everybody. It's me, your host, Brent Thomas, and this is the Paranormal Portal, and we are live and underway here. Hope you're doing great today. Thanks a bunch for coming on taking your time and spending part of your weekend here with us, because it just makes us feel special. And by special, that just reminds me, I'm not here alone. I have, of course, with me, my good friend and my co-host, Mr. Don Longbeard.
Are you okay over there?
Well, I forgot to unmute you, so I had to
new
draw
there.
that out.
Thank goodness for the unmute button.
Absolutely. It makes you much easier to hear.
Yes, absolutely. Instead of me having to yell over to yours.
Yeah, that's true.
Hey,
how's things going, brother?
things are good. Things are good.
Well, welcome back.
Yeesh.
You miss it?
Yeah, I always miss it.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Because we are here, and we got a fun, full 2 hours of paranormal right ahead of us, Don. Are you just ready for this?
I am ready for 2 hours of this, yes.
Hi, Ruthie. Lots of big hands there. There's like a whole bar of big hands in the chat, in the YouTube chat. And hello to everybody that's here. Great to see you guys. Thank you so much for coming in and hanging out with us, because, you know, if you weren't here, we'd just look kind of stupid. So you guys validate us.
You know,
Well,
it's not unlike, you know, like 2 years ago when we were sitting here literally talking to ourselves.
You remember that?
Yes.
I remember watching and seeing the counter go up to, like, the first time ever, like 10 people were in the chat room. I was like, ooh, there's 10 people here.
6 or 8 months after we started doing it. What the hell did we finally do?
Yeah, we sure as hell haven't had one of those meteoric rises that you hear about. Those Cinderella stories where these shows just kind of pop up and they blink and they're at 100,000 subs. Nope. Not us. We are earning every step of the way. We have ground this out.
Maybe we should start like a reacts thing, you know, because that seems to be really popular. Is like, you know, they got these guys that are doing, you know, YouTube rap reactions.
Oh,
maybe we
yeah.
should do like a YouTube paranormal reacts, but that's kind of like, you know,
Yeah, we'd have to really
Nuke's
bash on.
top 5 and things like that. But,
Sure.
You know, I mean, there's already ones out there though.
Sure, we would become pretty unpopular in a hurry, I
Nuke and
think.
Chills, yeah.
Yeah, because if you ever got a, like, you know, I mean, I love all those shows, but
Slapped ham. Colin.
Slapped Ham,
What you doing, mate?
and you can get more entertainment like this.
Wow.
Colin, you always got that same, what's the hell is his name?
Colin.
Slapped Ham guy?
Oh, slapped ham, yeah.
I thought his name was something else. Kalen?
Oh, it
or,
is. It is.
What is it? I can't remember. I got like a mental block now, Don. My mind's not working. Colin, Kalen. What's the guy's name on Slapped Ham, damn it? I can't remember.
Colin, Kalen.
I don't remember the guy on Slapped Ham, the host, whatever his name is, and I can't remember his name, but he's got that really funny thing that he does when you're watching.
Callum. Yes, thank you, Aussie.
Thank you, Aussie. when he does his introduction, he goes, "Welcome to Slapped Ham. We can get more entertainment just like this," and he does that head turn and a little bit of, you know, blinking and grinning. I just love that. It's kind of campy, but it's adorable in a way, you know?
Yeah,
I mean, it's just kind of a neat
It's
little...
endearing.
Much better word. Thank you. Thank you, Don.
He's so adorable.
He's adorable. that little Australian guy.
But, you know, I mean, I was thinking, you know, maybe we should do something like that, because that would be kind of like what we did with the evidence reviews.
Yeah,
It
you know,
can
that's
be the
not a
same
bad
thing,
thought.
similar thing.
If we could find some that we wouldn't have to just, you know, because if we like everything, of course, then it may not be as good.
Yeah, and
let
you
me
don't
do
wanna
this quick.
tear
though.
on. Well, you know what, though? I mean...
I'm going to do this
yeah.
quick. Hold on a sec.
Okay, what?
Because we got the waterfall sound in the background
Oh,
here.
you're going to pray.
No, yeah, I think it'll work, I think. But I'm going to cut. No, that didn't matter. Well, then it came from the phone line, and I'm not going to touch that because, ladies and gentlemen, well, let me just do this first.
Quick, somebody call in.
Yeah,
That always
yeah,
seems to work.
we need our static,
Our
uh,
anti-static cling guy.
yeah, what is it? Fabric softener.
Fabric softener.
Where's Carlton?
Hey,
Carlton, call in.
He's here.
Give us a call because the phone lines are working, ladies and gentlemen. That was a big announcement tonight. I can't.
We don't know why they're working.
I have no idea. I have no idea why, but if there he is. He's got like a black belt and dialing in. Are you there, Carlton?
Good evening, gentlemen. I apologize for the delay. I can help the YouTube delay.
Okay, let's see. No, it didn't really help this time. So
Yeah, no, it did.
it did a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
All right.
I'm
Well,
losing my static crushing powers? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, no.
yeah, quick, Carlton, rub your head on the carpet.
Rub yourself down with a bounce sheet.
Yeah. Snap.
Put on some wool socks and run around quick, will you?
I keep getting zapped in the forehead.
Now we know what's wrong.
That explains a whole bunch. Yeah.
That's only part of it. I know. Bizarre beings and other strangeness. I know what this show's about. I know. I recognize my own.
You know you're among kindred spirits, though. Don't worry. We're all pretty bizarre here, brother.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I do.
Yep.
I know. We're a crazy family.
We are that. But thank you for doing this. I think it might have helped a bit. So if you want to just hang on the line there, and we may come back to you if that's okay.
Yeah. I'll leave it off hook and just remember whatever the delay is. I don't know. It's probably like 10 seconds. Seems pretty fast tonight. But
Right.
Okay.
carry on, gentlemen.
All right, brother. Thanks.
Sweet.
Okay, so we've got a little improvement there.
Yeah, a little bit.
There's
Yeah.
a little bit of a hiss still, but it's a bit better. And for some reason, that's just a sound anomaly we get from Skype, and I don't know why. Usually, when I'm just connected to the
MSN.
Huh?
MSN.
Oh yeah, it speaks.
Oh, wait, not MSN. Microsoft.
Yeah. It's with the Microsoft Network, so it all kind of ties in. But yeah,
That's true.
you don't hear a delay. No, you wouldn't hear it, Julia. But there is a delay between the time we talk and the time you're actually hearing it. So that's just a nature of the beast since we're broadcasting through all the interwebs and stuff as we're doing it. But anyway, we got a lot of fun stuff on deck for you guys tonight, and hopefully, as always, we hope you leave here wildly entertained and just having such a good time that you can't wait to come back for more. And to do that, the best way, of course, to come back for more is to make sure you're subscribed.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you've rung the bell so you get all the notifications and stuff.
That's right.
And as you know, last night I did tell you guys tonight was Bring a Friend night. So I hope everybody's got friends they brought with, because that was your homework. And I don't mean just each other in the chat.
Yeah.
I mean, it was supposed to be new people was the
peoples.
idea, but no, I obviously we hope that you guys will continue to spread the word, let other people know about the shows, and let post it to your social media. That would help out a bunch because, as we were talking before, we've ground our existence out of sheer will, and that's about it. The only reason we're here and we're growing at all is because we might be just too stupid to give up.
That's probably closer to the truth than we want to admit. Actually,
we just might not be able to take a hint.
For some reason, we think we're funny.
We might not know how to take a hint. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, we're going to keep doing this. And of course, you can certainly help a bunch by letting people know what we're doing, because the hardest thing about having a show and in this ocean of shows out there, and there's lots of people doing great shows. I'm not bashing anybody, but I think there's only one Paranormal Portal. There's only one show that is us. Often imitated, but never duplicated. So, continue to help us in that manner. We'd love you bunches for it. So, and always support us on Teespring if you can by going over to Teespring and checking out the gear. That helps us out a bunch. Or if you want to just donate, there's a donate link up over there in that corner. There's lots of ways to help support us in what we're doing. But any way you can do it, if it's just by spreading the word, if it's just by coming and watching and liking, it means the world to us. So thank you, everybody. Because as big as we are, it's all because of you guys. We haven't done much on our own, I don't think. But anyway, Don.
Yes.
Did you hear that?
What?
Did you hear it?
Hear what?
It's time for the news.
Oh. I guess I missed my cue.
I don't have cues, Don. I just make this up as I go. I have no idea what I'm going to do from one moment to the next. But welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Paranormal Portal news desk, which looks a lot like the other desk, but just pretend with me, will you? I'm trying to give this show some depth. Use your imagination. All right. This is the news desk. And I got some things that I pulled up that I hope you find newsworthy. At least I did, so that's why they're here, and that's why I'm going to talk about them now. The first thing, there it is. The first thing that we're going to go over tonight is some footage, apparently, which thousands believe could be UFOs. So I'm going to have to copy this and put it over in the TFR link as well. Oh, Jesus, what did I do? Everything just went all skewy here. I hate that when you drag around windows and stuff. All kinds of weird magic happens, Don.
How weird is this?
It's not even good magic. It's just weird magic. There we go. I don't know. I don't even have everything up here, but it's enough to do the job right now. There we go. Okay, so I got some footage here. Let me copy the link. I'm going to put it in the TFR so you guys on TFR can go check this out as well. Since this is very visual, this is a visual article, so we gotta share it with you. And hello to everybody in TFR, all 4 of you. Good to see you. Thank you for being here with us. Bam's in there, Nightshade's in there, Scottish Ross is in there, helpful newcomer. So we'll do YouTube shout outs after the news here, but this is an article from examinerlive.co.uk. And this is witness shares footage which thousands believe to show UFO flying over Doncaster.
Wow.
Bizarre-looking ship does indeed seem to fly past the aircraft at a high rate of speed. I don't know if there's much of an article. I guess there is. Let's read the article first, and then we'll get to the actual video segment of it. I don't know if this is the video. Could not download the video. Well, this might be a short segment. Where's this at? I don't know. Or is that an ad? Anyway, it's actually possible that a real-life UFO flew over Doncaster. There's a town named Doncaster, Don.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It's kind of sweet.
It's probably been there a few hundred years more than I've been around.
Okay, well, I'm just saying. Maybe your celebrity's growing.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
They're naming towns after you already. So, Doncaster this week. Well, social media seems to think so. The video footage above was shared across several platforms throughout the last 24 hours, with thousands of people suggesting that this could be a genuine sighting. And it says the video captured by Doncaster man Andrew Pollard has become a huge talking point. Andrew from Maltby has said that he believed it to be far too fast to be a drone or a bird. The mystery object appears in this film around 3 seconds into the footage that he recorded. You can see the object first appeared on the right-hand side as it flies above the aircraft in a straight line. The video, which is shared on an Instagram page, has over 11,000 likes and comments. One man, Patrick Mason, who stated himself to be an aviation expert, said that the footage is extremely interesting. What is happening? Oh, I'm starting to read ads now. I'm just...
Don't read the ad.
He said that I'm genuinely very interested in this footage. I don't know if it has been doctored. And if it has, then the person that has done it is clearly an expert. But if it is genuine, then I feel this certainly needs to be looked into by the airport. Obviously, people are going to jump towards saying it is a UFO. That's always fun. But the fact is, it's flying so close to an aircraft. That is interesting. It's certainly not the first time that people have declared to have spotted a UFO in Yorkshire. 6 months ago, a man in Huddersfield claimed to see a very large aircraft above him. And it says Yorkshire Live has approached Doncaster Sheffield Airport for comments on the unidentified flying object, which it doesn't sound like they've gotten any kind of response. But let's see if is this it, or is this just an ad? No, that's just an ad. So let me do this again and see if it'll come up for us. There it is. Okay. The video will autoplay soon. Okay. Well, how about we play now?
Sounds good to me.
Oh, there it goes. Let's see. I think what the hell is going on? I'm getting a click fest here for. Oh, well, we better check from. Well, let's go to Don Cam until that's over. We have to do the obligatory ad first, and I don't want to rebroadcast their ad and get in trouble. Okay,
nice.
So here we go. Let me blow it up here a little bit. I guess we're watching. There it goes.
Oh, shoot. Wow.
Oh, wow. That does kind of shoot by. Let's keep watching because it's a lot longer than that. It looks like they actually slowed it down because that approach is pretty slow. And it may just be because it's coming towards the camera that it seems slower, but it does look like they might have slowed this footage down. You can just hear the screaming of the jet engines in your imaginary ears.
In your imaginary ears.
I don't know. Do you think that's been slowed down, or what do you think?
You know, yeah, I think it was slowed down so
Right.
it would
Yeah, because it'd go overhead way faster than that. That thing should be plummeting to Earth at that speed. So that's even slowed way down. That's really interesting. Let's see if we can get it here again. Oops, what did I do? There we go. Hopefully it'll start playing. Here we go. There it goes. Yep. I was a little too quick there. So let's just focus on that part. So it comes off from the right and shoots to the left.
You know, and that is pretty fast because that plane has been slowed down. So this has got to be, slowed down to show the actual thing. The actual.
Right. It doesn't fly over the craft though. I think it's flying in front of it.
I think it's flying behind it.
You do because watch that plane real closely when it crosses that in front of it. You do see it like flash on the belly there or something. I think so anyway. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's something flashing right on the underside of there as it crosses. So I'm assuming that that's it breaking that plane. But still, so it's hard to know exactly how far away from the camera it is, but it's far enough away that it shouldn't be moving that fast. I mean, God. I mean, it's not bullet fast, but that's...
if this was slowed down, yes, it is bullet fast.
Or nearly, huh? Because we don't know how far away that is from the camera and how far the plane is.
It's not that far. That plane's pretty big in that aperture right now.
Right.
So
that's true. I don't know, folks. That could very well be. I've seen lots of footage clips like that that people have just randomly caught, and only caught by the grace of God, really, because when you're looking at real-time footage, those kind of things are literally just blurs. So how somebody
hard to see, yeah.
Yeah, and I've seen other ones. There's one of a guy out in like a forested field. It's mostly field, but there's also a bunch of trees, and this thing they caught on camera was shooting through that scene like incredibly fast. Now this one is equally as fast as that other. But I suppose that's got to be, I don't know, about the size of a small car, but it's flat.
So Farm says could be a jet though, no distance perspective, hard to tell. True, but
no.
think of this: there should not be another plane that close to anything up there. You
Yeah.
should not see any planes anywhere near a plane coming in like that.
When-
Nowhere near.
And the other thing is that this footage has been slowed way down.
Yeah,
If there's
it
a
has
jet
been.
moving that fast across there, that's like Concorde fast, if that was a jet. I mean, that's an exaggeration, but I mean, that would make this thing moving like, now it is landing, so it's going to be around 100 and some miles an hour probably, that jet, or maybe 200 miles an hour as it's coming in on this approach.
Right.
But that would still mean that this thing would be flying probably, 400 plus miles an hour to be crossing that whole range in that quickly. I don't know. I'm grossly estimating, and probably really terribly estimating, but it seems to me that that's flying really, really fast. Because what is it clearing the screen? And let's try to count it. It's 2003. Yeah, it's about 3 seconds to clear this entire range. So that's quite a bit of distance.
It's Maverick doing a flyby.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's about
God.
right. Yeah. So there you go, folks. You'll have to be your own judge on this, but I'm thinking it's really pretty spectacular. I think they did catch something, at least on the surface. There's no way to forensically evaluate this other than I'm just telling you what I see, what I can observe, and it seems legit to me. But again, if it was doctored, and it's always a risk in today's era since they already slowed the frames down, they slowed the footage down, obviously. So, could they have just put in an anomaly? Sure. It's possible, and maybe not even that difficult, but that's really well done. And you'd think if they were going to take the time to do that, they would put in something a little more concise than a gray, blurry line, because that's about all you see is just this gray thing going by. Very flat, though. But there you go. That's the first article on our agenda tonight. I think it's pretty powerful. I do. I think that's some good footage, and you be the judge. I'm not, again, saying that you should believe it is or you shouldn't. But in other news, ladies and gentlemen, it seems to be that there is something to intelligent design. That's kind of a stretch. I don't know that this is what this is saying. But this article, and this isn't really visual, so I'll just read it for all of y'all. But this is coming from animalien.com, and it says, study shows that the structure of the universe isn't random. So does that mean intelligent design? I don't know. Let's read and find out. Astronomer Leor Shamir of the University of Kansas presented data analysis on more than 200,000 spiral galaxies. The findings were presented at the meeting of the American Astronomical Society in New York, reports Curiosmos.com. The geometric patterns of these galaxies show that the universe may have a defined structure. The early universe was more consistent and less chaotic than the current universe, according to the scientist. The new data contradicts the popular idea that the cosmos is expanding without any specific direction. The asymmetry between the directions of rotation of spiral galaxies increases when they are more distant from Earth, which shows the universe was spinning earlier than previously thought. The patterns spanning more than 4 billion light years also show the universe is not symmetric, but that the asymmetry changes in different parts of the universe, and that the differences exhibit a unique multipole pattern. The universe is not rotating around a single axis, but 4 axes in complex alignment. Wow, that's kind of bizarre. The difference in asymmetry in different parts of the universe are consistent with quadrupole pattern, and that is the universe was rotating around 4 axes. If the universe has an axis, it's not a simple axis like a carousel. It's a complex multi-axis alignment that also has a certain drift. So nothing conclusive on what it, I don't know. So it's not random, it's just...
Hypothetical.
Yeah, kind of.
Hypothetical.
I mean, they can observe that this is so, I guess, by, through observing these universe over a period of time, that I guess they can detect the motion of the stars even at that distance. But so I suppose they can, I guess, model it. But that's pretty interesting. They're not just spinning like a pinwheel.
Right.
There's 4 different axes in effect on that. I don't know. I'm trying to do the imagining what that means, and I don't know. But I don't know. I don't know. This is outside my pay grade, but I thought that was interesting, so I shared it with you guys. I hope you enjoyed that little nugget. It went from not random to just having 4 axes. So I guess I was expecting it to talk about how many people have related that the structure of the universe is not unlike a neuron in a brain.
Right.
I guess where I was expecting this article to go. This wasn't quite it, but I find that pretty impressive, or at least the maybe it's not just the universe, but the multiverse. That if you're zoomed out enough, it begins to resemble a neuron in our brain.
Right, right.
And I think that really is incredible, because it's the microcosm and the macrocosm. Is one the other, and is one the other the one? I don't know.
Are we just living inside the brain of a big being?
Right. That's just it. I mean, I've thought that ever since I was in elementary school.
Right.
I remember thinking about that. It's like, what if our star was just an atom?
Right.
And our atom was part of a whole collection of atoms, and these atoms made up something else, and we're just these little microscopic things that this bigger thing wouldn't even have any awareness of. And I don't know. I was a weird kid.
Leave it to Farm to throw this in.
Oh,
Paranormal Portal. Fungal webs look a lot like universes too. Mycelium. Yes, I would imagine they do.
What does?
Fungal webs. Mycelium.
Oh.
Fungal webs.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I think that everything's alive, right?
Yeah.
Even the universes and the macrocosm is alive. I think that the fact that it's here, because see, I think that all things are exist because they are manifest. That means us. That means the world around us. That means
Right.
the universe. It means the world underneath us in the microcosm. And so it is consciousness that creates reality. So if that's the case, everything's alive. And
Kai says this makes me think of the scene in The Simpsons where it zooms out through Earth, space, and then winds up just being Homer's eye.
I love that part. Could be. We could be just sitting. I mean, we could be a nostril hair. We don't know.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, at least I stayed up on the face. I could have gone all kinds of places with that.
Yeah.
I don't know, folks. You're getting it. Oh my God, there's the
Wow.
break. I got another one to go, so we'll just continue the news and when we get back. But don't go away. There's more Portal right after these messages.
Hey everyone, it's Chris Gio, founder of Truth Free.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Paranormal Portal. We are going through the news, and we kind of ran out of time in the first segment, so we'll continue right here. You ready for more news, Don?
Certainly.
Certainly he's ready. All right, well, let's get to it and see what other weirdness is going on in the world. In the world. In the world.
Oh, boy.
I just cranked the bass on that one. Did you feel it, Don?
I felt it in my ear holes.
Oh, I'm glad that's where. But we got more strangeness out here, and this one has to do with, ladies and gentlemen, if you are a fan of the lake monsters, this might actually be something you'll appreciate. And this is report coming out of Loch Ness, and this one is apparently another mystery sonar hit spotted in Loch Ness. This is dated the 5th of November, so this is really recent.
Remember the 5th of November.
Is there what happened on the 5th of November?
What? That was Guy Fawkes. That was the
Oh yeah.
gunpowder.
Okay. I'm acting like I knew that. I really didn't know. Oh yeah. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, him, that guy. That guy.
I had no idea. All right, so this is coming from unexplained-mysteries.com. All right. And it says, well, if you recall, recently there was a sonar hit from the tour boats that go around in there. Mm. And this one says, further evidence of a large creature has been picked up by the cruise Loch Ness director, Ronald McKenzie.
At least it didn't say McDonald.
And his co-pilot, Mayor McCheese. No, it's
Can you see the
McKenzie.
burglar
Hamburglar?
as like the purser?
Yeah. He's Red and Nessie through the lock. All right. So further evidence of a large creature. Last month, we reported McKenzie, who skippers a popular tourist boat on the loch, had picked up signs of an object measuring 32 feet long, approximately 500 feet beneath the surface of the water.
Wow.
Now it turns out that he has since managed to pick up yet another anomalous object in the loch, this time measuring around 33 feet long and situated 600 feet underwater. The two sonar hits have caught the attention of sonar expert Craig Wallace. They are very curious, he said. These are, of course, large, clear, and distinct contacts, all strangely near the loch bed. It's hard to tell if it's a single creature or a large shoal of fish, which in itself would be unusual for Loch Ness. You don't normally find such a shoal in the loch and so far down. These fascinating images are genuine and unexplained contacts that would merit further investigation of the loch by more sophisticated sonar. Mackenzie himself has welcomed the idea of a more in-depth investigation. I'd welcome Mr. Wallace to bring his equipment and we'll take him out and try to find out what's going on, he said. I just have no idea. It could be something that has come into the loch. I've spent more time on Loch Ness than anybody I know, and I can't explain why suddenly we're getting these sonar contacts all of a sudden. It's just incredible. I honestly think it's a big fish of some sort, known or unknown, to the loch. God, if it was 30-some feet, that's a big fish.
Yup.
There is an image of it. It says another startling image of the large creature inhabiting the depths of Loch Ness has been captured on sonar, reports Mike Merritt at Inverness Courier, I guess. Let me paste that too, because there is an image, and I'll share that with our TFR audience. Bam will appreciate that, because he's hanging out still, and so is Nightshade. And there you go. That one's that. I think it's cool. I think that there's something in that lake. It's kept people absolutely preoccupied with it for centuries. I think centuries, right?
Yeah, centuries, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a long, long time. People have been reporting some weirdness in the loch, or lots of weirdness,
Some
actually.
strangeness, some high strangeness down low in the loch.
Yeah. So this is a different and last article of the day of our news cycle, and this talks about a ninth planet. Now, I thought, well, of course, it depends on whether you consider Pluto a planet or
It
not.
depends on if you want to listen to Neil
DeGrasse Tyson?
Yes.
Oh.
It was his fault.
Oh, is he the one that
Blame him.
deplaneted Pluto?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, got it deplaneted.
Well, I don't think he should be doing that to planets.
Yeah.
What would they ever do to him?
I don't know.
All right, here we go. This is, did a ninth planet escape billions of years ago? From unexplained-mysteries.com again. And this kind of made me think of Nibiru, you know? Scientists have found evidence to suggest that another world once existed between
Yes. Say it. Uranus.
Uranus?
Uranus.
No, you are. Uranus and Saturn. While much of the effort involved in tracking down the rumored Planet 9 has focused on exploring the outer reaches of our solar system, some researchers believe there may be, in fact, been a sizable planet much closer to home, somewhere between the orbits of Uranus and Saturn. So that would be here, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, this ancient icy world was likely ejected from the solar system billions of years ago. To determine this, scientists created thousands of simulations to rewind the clock and recreate the orbits of the planets, and in particular, the gas giants, to examine how they evolved over time. We now know that there are thousands of planetary systems in our Milky Way galaxy alone. Said the study lead author Matt Clement from the Carnegie Institution for Science. But it turns out that the arrangement of planets in our solar system is highly unusual. So we are using the models to reverse engineer and replicate its formative processes. This is a bit like trying to figure out what happened in a car crash after the fact. How fast were the cars going, etc., in what directions, and so on. The researchers also found that the positions of Uranus and Neptune were altered by the Kuiper Belt. This indicates that while our solar system is a bit of an oddball, it wasn't always the case, said Clement. Well, there you go. I don't know. I think Jupiter just ate it. It's just gone. Because Jupiter's huge. Huge old thing. Maybe it was eating other planets. I heard some people believe that Saturn used to be a sun, too. I find that pretty interesting. Because if it were, the gravitation on that thing would be enormous. It would be sucking things all the way up.
Huge.
Huge. Yep. All right, so there you go, ladies and gentlemen. This has been the news. All right, folks. I hope you enjoyed that news cycle. Hope you thought those were very interesting articles, worthy of mention here on the portal. I like talking about all the things, and granted, not all the things that we talk about here are paranormal, but they're interesting, they're different, and so therefore they're kind of paranormal. And so I talk about them. But anyway, I don't even have the call board up, so I can't even see if someone is trying to communicate with us. Nope, nobody's trying.
Is anyone here trying to communicate with us?
Hello? Yeah. Nobody's here, Don.
Dang it.
All right, we checked. We took a look into the phone lines, and there was nobody there except Carlton, but he's off the hook. So
he's always off the hook.
he's off the hook, so we don't know. Nessie says she's here. Kristen Leah loves it, so nice effects. The board comes full of them. But yeah, this is we got a lot more to go here on the Paranormal Portal. What, may you ask? Well, more, Don.
More?
There's more stuff to go over here.
Please, sir, can I have more?
May I have another? Yes, you may, because that's how we rock it here in the portal. I found a couple of articles.
I'd like to be able to get into my Facebook so I can find a couple articles.
Is that where you find them? Is Facebook?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually go out and do research, but sometimes find some things on Facebook.
Well,
of course,
you find them, and then that leads you to something else, and then something else, and then pretty soon you're
Yeah.
down the rabbit hole eating mushrooms with Alice.
well, I'll tell you, that's where I find Brent Swanser's articles because he links them to us, which is really
That's
cool.
true.
He links them and says, "Here's another one," boom, and I always try to check them out and of course read them on the show because again, I'm a big fan. So what do? The guy's obviously representing. Let me close that and get that out of the way. But I do have to find what are some of the things that I did pull up here. This is one. This is one that I was maybe going to save for later. What do you think? Should we read this now, Don?
Why not?
All right, we're going to read it now, ladies and gentlemen. This has to do with Bigfoot. This is the Brent Swanser original. And this one is from September of 2016. And again, from mysteriousuniverse.org. But before that, Don, who's here in the chat? on
Roll
YouTube?
call.
Roll
You
call.
better start chatting if you want to call a shout out.
Yep. If you want to shout out, make sure to start chatting because your name won't show up on the list.
It may not show up on the list anyhow because my computer's stupid.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, participants. Here we go. We have Aaron, an Aussie Tiger Bomber. Deb's here. Hi, Deb. Drake C. Ethan. Jordan's here. Justin. Jordan is.
Nice.
She just popped in.
Oh, cool. Very cool.
Justin Langton. Kirsten, Kai, Les Hines, Lindsay Bay, Mary Bond, Nessie Monther. Nessie, you been out swimming in the loch? No, you're in New Zealand. You're not. You're not up there. What do you? It's like some kind of portal, isn't it? Yes, it's got to be. Anyhow, let's see. Where did I leave off? Oh, Pappy Two Bears is here. Ruthie Castro, Sandra is here. Jake from Blue Line Bigfoot is here. Pharmacy Seeds, Mr. Thomas, Titan, and YTFP Chris. And if I missed your name, it's because you weren't chatting at the time. Audrey and Jamie just popped in.
Okay.
Naysay just popped in.
Very cool.
Who else? Someone else? Anybody else? Nope, that's it.
That's
You've lost your chance.
Yeah, it was the shout outs. Thank you guys for being here, and thank you to all of you, the rest of you that are sitting there just quietly enjoying the musings of
Taking
the
it
Paranormal Portal.
into your ear holes.
Yeah. We hope you are enjoying it indeed. So this is, again, an article from mysteriousuniverse.org. Highly encourage you to go check out that site if you're into the paranormal, into just thousands of articles there by an incredible array of contributors. They do an amazing job, and it's a great time. But the one we're going to read right now is called Truly Strange Cases of People Kidnapped by Bigfoot. Doesn't that sound like fun?
It sounds like a blast.
It does. This is, think about it. And of course it starts, let's see, is this the one that starts with Albert Ostman? Yeah. So now it's got a whole big section of it on Albert Ostman. Now here's the thing. Do you think I should try to just cover that? or just start after that, because that's certainly one we've covered before.
Well, we have
And-
covered it. Yeah.
Do you think I should read it all?
It looks like it's a pretty major part of it, though.
It does. That's why I'm asking, because
Yeah.
it's a pretty considerable sized article.
You know what? It's always worth. I think it's always worth rehearing this story because it's one of the most interesting stories I've ever heard.
Yeah, and it still persists as one of the most compelling stories of a person claiming to be abducted by a Bigfoot.
Yes.
And I haven't heard Brent Swancer's take on it, which is also a big attraction to this. So it's, I was kidnapped by Bigfoot. It's an absurd statement that seems practically synonymous with bad tabloid headlines, cranks, and kooks. Yet in a pantheon of countless Bigfoot and hairy hominid reports that have come in from all corners of the globe, there can be found a surprisingly high number of accounts that indeed claim exactly this. It is a phenomenon that can be almost considered its own subspecies of weird Bigfoot reports, and these seemingly ludicrous tales serve not only merely entertain, but also to provoke thought and open up a line of inquiry into a rather potentially bizarre scenario. If Bigfoot and other hairy hominid beasts are indeed real, then do they on occasion abduct humans? And if so, how would such a situation play out? Well, here we look at cases that may hold the answers to these questions. These are among the weirdest reports of Bigfoot kidnappings that I've come across, and whether or not they are real, they are damn strange all the same. Yeah, they are. It says, by far the most well-known and talked about alleged Bigfoot kidnapping, as well as one of the strangest, concerns the Canadian prospector and lumberjack Albert Ostman. And we've done shows on this story before, so if you've been a long-time listener, you'll know the story, but if you're not familiar with it, it's a hell of a story.
Let's get you some learning in.
But let's cover it as far as Brent Swancer does here. He says it was Canadian prospector and lumberjack Albert Ostman. In 1924, Ostman went on vacation to the rugged wilderness near Toba Inlet, British Columbia, Canada. One of his purposes at the time was to try to find what he claimed to be a long-lost gold mine, and he was convinced existed out there in the dense forests, which is really odd and intriguing enough as it is, but would be overshadowed by the bizarreness of what would purportedly happen to him during his trip. While on his journey into these remote badlands, Ostman's Indian guide told him that the man who had allegedly originally found the lost gold mine was rumored to have been killed by a Sasquatch, which was, according to Ostman, the first time he had ever heard of such creatures. Despite having long been a hardened outdoorsman, but the Indian expert explained that about the large, hairy, man-like beast they call the Sasquatch, and told of the large footprints they left behind. But Ostman at the time did not believe a word of it, instead chalking it up to a crazy old native legends. Not long after this, the two made camp, and Ostman headed out on his own with some supplies in a pack, and armed with his rifle and a knife to investigate a pass through the mountains that he had seen, as well as to do some prospecting. All right, and that, I believe, is the actual picture of John Green interviewing Albert Ostman. So, very, very cool. After a couple of days of camping alone out in the wilderness, some rather odd things were noticed by Ostman. One morning he found that some of the items in his camp had been moved around, although nothing had been taken. And Ostman slept that night with his rifle within easy reach, thinking that perhaps a porcupine or other animal had come in and picked through his camp. The following morning he found his backpack had been emptied out, but was still oddly hanging from where he had left it, and that this time some things were missing, such as a half-pound pack of prunes and all of his pancake flour.
Prune pancakes.
Just like Mom used to make. The only thing that hadn't been touched was his bag of salt. An examination of the camp turned up no footprints, and the intrusion did not seem to be the work of animals, since nothing had been torn apart or haphazardly ransacked or strewn about. For 3 nights in a row, the mysterious intruder visited the camp unseen by all efforts by Ostman to stake out the camp and find the trespasser in the act were to no avail. On the 4th night of these strange incidents, Ostman went to bed fully clothed, with both his knife and rifle within easy reach, and this time he had intended to stay awake all night in order to catch the trespasser, rather.
Trespasser.
But but he eventually fell into a deep sleep, and at some point, he claims he was awoken by something picking him up, sleeping bag and all, and he groggily thought it might be a snow slide. Although there was no snow in the area at the time, he said that he then felt as if he'd been put up on horseback, and that whatever was carrying him was walking, but he couldn't see anything as he was wrapped up in his sleeping bag, and he desperately grabbed for his rifle as he tried to figure out who or what was carrying him along. Unable to move and with various equipment sticking into him, uncomfortably, Ostman could only wait there in the encroaching dark and see where he was being taken. Whatever had captured him seemed to be taking Ostman uphill, and he could feel each step lifting upwards. And he began to notice that the thing was breathing heavily, as well as occasionally letting out coughing noises and strange chattering sounds. For 3 full hours, Ostman was carried like this through the wilderness, when suddenly his sleeping bag was dumped into the ground and he warily peeked outside. Although it was too dark at the time for him to clearly see what was out there, he could vaguely make out large, dark shapes and hear what sounded like several large creatures chattering unintelligibly amongst each other. And it seemed to be a family of the very hairy humanoids his old Indian guide had told him about. Ostman called out to ask what the creature wanted, and was answered with more of the chattering sounds. He thought of escape, but his legs were too badly cramped and painful for him to even walk, let alone run away. Well, that's a good picture. As it got lighter outside, Ostman claims that he could finally make out 4 humanoid creatures, unclothed and fully covered in shaggy hair. According to him, there were 2 big ones, which seemed to be the father, which was a massive specimen about 8 feet tall, and the mother, as well as 2 smaller ones, which looked to be children, a boy and a girl, with smaller meaning that they were only around 6 to 7 feet tall. Ostman would later say of their appearance, the young fellow might have been between 11 to 18 years old and about 7 feet tall, and might weigh about 300 pounds. His chest would be 50 to 55 inches, his waist about 36 to 38 inches, and he had wide jaws, narrow forehead that slanted upward around at the back, about 4 or 5 inches higher than the forehead. The hair on their heads was about 6 inches long. The hair on the rest of the body was short and thick in places. The women's hair on the forehead had an upward turn like some women have. They call it bangs. Among women's hairdos, nowadays, the old lady could have been anything between 40 to 70 years old. She was over 7 feet tall and would be about 500 or 600 pounds. And she had very wide hips and a goose-like walk. She was not built for beauty or speed. Some of those lovable brassieres and uplifts would have been great improvement on her looks. Jeez, and her figure. This guy's a pig. No, I'm just kidding. The man's eye teeth were longer than the rest of the teeth, but not long enough to be called tusks. The old man must have been near 8 feet tall, big barrel chest, and big hump on his back. Powerful shoulders, and his biceps on the upper arm were enormous and tapered down to his elbows. His forearms were longer than common people have, but well proportioned. His hands were wide. The palm was long and broad and hollow like a scoop. His fingers were short in proportion to the rest of his hand. His fingernails were like chisels. The only place they had no hair was inside their hands and the soles of their feet. The upper part of the nose and eyelids, and I never did see their ears. They were covered with hair hanging over them. The creature did not seem threatening or aggressive towards Ostman at all. And indeed, the young ones seemed a little frightened of him, but neither did they seem ready to let him leave. According to Ostman, for the next 6 days, the family of Sasquatch forcibly kept him there, with the large male constantly nearby and sitting at the only obvious escape route. During this time, Ostman claimed that the family of creatures slept within a shelter lined and covered with bark and dry moss, and that gradually the curious creatures would come closer to observe him, including the younger ones. The family of Sasquatch also offered Ostman food in the form of nuts and a type of sweet grass which the young boy Sasquatch would deftly climb up the mountain to get. And in return, Ostman would let it play with his snuff box, which it would practice opening and closing, as well as tasting the snuff inside. When the young male seemed to demand one for his sister, Ostman gave her a snuff box as well. For the most part, the adults were described as mostly resting all day while the children climbed and played. Ostman claimed that on several occasions, he had picked up his rifle and tried to walk out of there, but that the large male had stood in front of him holding his hands out and vocalizing irritably. Although Ostman had his rifle, he chose not to fire. Can you get the door? Thanks. He's out there singing, so. Although he had his rifle, he chose not to fire upon the creatures as they seemed remarkably human. Where are we at? Okay. And showed no inclination towards harming him. And he was not sure if his rifle would even hurt the massive beast, instead only serving to anger it. Considering that the younger one seemed to like playing with the snuff boxes so much and licking at the remaining snuff within, and that the father had also shown interest in them, Ostman began to concoct a plan to incapacitate or even kill the large adult male by feeding him a full box of snuff, after which he felt confident that he would be able to escape with little resistance. One day, Ostman opened a new box of snuff and took a dose, and at the same time, the adult male had reportedly suddenly snatched it away and emptied the entire contents into his mouth, even going so far as to thoroughly lick out any remnants.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
As predicted, the adult male Sasquatch fell violently ill, and Ostman made a run for it, purportedly firing his rifle over the mother's head as she pursued him and scaring her off. After some time of slogging through the wilderness, ever wary of being followed by the family of Sasquatch, Ostman was finally rescued by some loggers and brought back to civilization. Ostman would keep his story quiet for decades, afraid of ridicule, until increasing reports of Bigfoot sightings in the 50s persuaded him to finally come forth with his sensational tale in 1957. Albert Ostman's amazing story has been picked apart and debated ever since, with some calling him a liar and others pointing to it as genuine evidence of Bigfoot, as well as everything in between, but we may never know the truth, whether Ostman's account is true or the product of an active imagination. It is certainly one of the stranger and more detailed reports of Bigfoot kidnappings. The strange abduction of Albert Ostman is certainly not the only case of an alleged kidnapping by Bigfoot. And these sorts of accounts go back a very long time and don't always take place in North America. In 1602, 17-year-old Antoinette Coulette was herding animals near her village of Naves, France, when she inexplicably vanished. No sign was found. Oh my God. Well, we'll start with the other stories after the break, ladies and gentlemen. Time flies when you're having fun. But don't go away. We'll be back with more of the Portal after these messages.
Play their games. Everybody loves to place their bets. They don't understand the price I paid. They don't care to comprehend. Trace their lines upon my body, dripping scars across my heart. Raging anger pours inside me as their lies keep falling apart. But I'm not told finished with my science. I am not a stupid boy. No more breaking me with kindness, just you dance upon my joy. Leading me with empty promise, you're just another fucking mess. Taking off a slice of my sanity, just make sure that you're well fed.
Caroline is not like those she's with. They're attracted to the one thing about her that is different from themselves. Her life force. It is very strong. It gives off its own illumination. It is a light that implies life and memory of love and home and earthly pleasures. Something they desperately desire, but can't have anymore. Right now, she's the closest thing to that.
Poltergeists are usually associated with an individual. Hauntings seem to be connected with an area. A house, usually.
Poltergeist disturbances are of fairly short duration, perhaps a couple of months. Hauntings can go on for years.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Hour number 2 is sprung up. I don't know how the hell that happened.
Quick. Did it quickly.
It did quickly, didn't it? Yeah, that's true. It really did. But welcome back. I guess that was a perfect segue, though, because as we were covering that story, the parts, we just gotten through the Albert Ostman part. Now, I would like to tell everybody, if you go on to like Spotify or iHeartRadio or any of the platforms where our podcast is located, you can find an older episode from last season when we covered the Albert Ostman story on there. And
Episode 91.
Episode 91 is the Albert Ostman story. So
And I just put it into the chat.
Okay, so you can check it out in full. I mean, it's an incredible story. I think he definitely experienced what he says he experienced. So, but now we're going to start on one that was happening in Naves, France, in 1602. So I already started reading it, but let me recap that so we get to another one here. 17-year-old Antoinette Colette was herding animals near the village of Naves, France, or Naves, however you say it, I don't know, when she inexplicably vanished. No sign was found of the missing woman until later that year, when a group of lumberjacks claimed to have heard the voice of Colette calling out to them from beyond a boulder blocking the entrance to a cave, and explained that she had been kidnapped by an ugly, hairy monster with superhuman strength, which regularly brought her baskets of bread and fruit. Well, that same night, the creature is said to have wandered into a nearby village and was shot. It was described as looking like a rather human-like bear. The late 19th century also brought with it several other stories of abductions carried out by hairy humanoids. One such account was from a lumberjack named Bourne, not Jason, who claimed to have been kidnapped by a tall, hairy humanoid around 8 feet in height with long brown hair, as he had been on his way to meet his fiancée in the district of Isère in France. Bourne claimed that the creature had slung him over its shoulders and brought him to a cave populated by similar beasts, all of which chattered with each other in some strange language. Bourne claimed to have been held captive in the cave for about an hour before he was able to distract the creatures and escape. One such bizarre kidnapping was a 17-year-old young woman named Serphine Long, who in 1871 was reportedly and forcibly abducted by a large male Bigfoot while hiking at Morris Mountain in British Columbia, Canada. According to the victim, she was held captive by the Bigfoot and its family for around a year.
Wow.
During which time she claims to have been taken advantage of by the large male before the abductor suddenly dumped her back to the place from which she had disappeared. Not long after this, it was claimed that she gave birth to a deformed baby.
Oh, boy.
Interestingly, this is not the only tale of a Bigfoot abductor seemingly looking for amorous relationship with humans. In a more modern account, one 19-year-old woman named Oksana Terletskaya. Oksana Terletskaya was apparently kidnapped by a hairy wild man after she had become lost in the wilderness. As she stopped to pick some raspberries to eat, the young woman claimed that she had heard a chuffing noise like an orangutan, and the woman apparently screamed and passed out, after which she came to in a cave with the sounds of a stream nearby and the rays of light piercing down through the darkness from above. The strange ape-like creature was sitting next to her with its teeth bared in a mockery of a smile. It then reportedly set upon her to rip her clothes off, after which she lost consciousness once again. Not even dinner. When Oksana woke again, she realized that she was imprisoned and that she had become the wife of the creature. Whenever it left the cave, it would roll an immense heavy boulder across the entrance of the cave to prevent her from escape, and would typically return with berries or raw meat for her to eat. The creature apparently showed interest in the girl's CD player and would listen to songs on it through the headphones. He apparently became really upset when the device inevitably ran out of batteries and threw a tantrum. The creature, with Oksana had named Tang, T-A-N-G, then went out after a while and came back with a fresh pack of batteries.
Wow.
Which she surmised he had stolen from some store. What store is he shopping at?
Sasquatch or us?
Squatch Mart.
Sasquatch Mart.
This gave hope to Oksana that perhaps the cave was not so far from civilization, giving her hope that in the future escape would be possible. And as the seasons changed and the weather grew colder, Tang would bring her warm clothing from some unknown source, and intriguingly, this would later be backed up by a report of a tractor driver who bizarrely claimed to have had his clothes stolen by a wild man. When Oksana made a fire in the cave, Tang was purportedly fascinated by the flames and somewhat frightened at the same time, as if he had never seen such a thing before. Although he would eventually overcome his fear and sit next to her by the fire. When Oksana caught a cold, Tang dutifully went out into the wilderness and brought back what seemed to be medicinal roots and plants. One day in spring, Tang left the cave on an errand, and this time did not close the boulder as tightly as usual. Oksana was able to squeeze her way through the opening and make it outside, where she made a daring escape. When she made her way back to civilization, she realized that she had been held captive for about a year. Mentally unbalanced by her whole ordeal, unable to fully adjust to normal life, she was admitted to a mental hospital where she relayed her amazing story to her doctor. When no one would believe her, Oksana allegedly fell into a deep depression and then began telling people that the creature knew where she was and would come back for her. One day, the girl apparently just suddenly disappeared from her room, and other patients would reportedly claim that, a large hairy beast had come to get her during the night. It is unclear just how much of this story is true, but it is certainly intriguing nevertheless. In another report from this time in 1920, a young couple was tending animals in the Sierra Morena mountains near Lezingnan in Spain when the woman was apparently abducted by an ape-like creature as she washed clothes by a stream. She was then kept captive by the creature and repeatedly taken advantage of, and when she finally managed to escape and make her way back home, she reportedly gave birth to a hairy child who would be called Annika and nicknamed the daughter of the orangutan, and apparently the baby was deformed with long arms, a hairy body, and an ape-like mouth. There are several other accounts of Bigfoot kidnappings in the 20s, and in 1928, a Native American trapper was in British Columbia, Canada, when he claimed to have been abducted by a Sasquatch during the night while sleeping, similar to the Osman case. According to him, he was carried an estimated 3 miles through rugged wilderness, after which he was thrown to the ground and found that he was surrounded by a group of about 20 of the hulking creatures. Apparently there were human bones strewn about the ground before him, which led the trapper to think that the beast meant to eat him. The creatures supposedly gathered around him to poke and pull at his clothing, which they seemed genuinely confused by. After some time of this, the beast lost interest somewhat, and the trapper made a run for it, managing to escape their clutches. These strange cases go far on past the 1920s. In 1957, a man in a remote village in China claimed to have heard his daughter screaming out for help and had run to find an 8-foot-tall hairy hominid. Hominid, yeah, I read it right. It just looked funny all of a sudden. Picking her up and carrying her away. The father bravely grabbed a stick and chased after them to start beating the creature as hard as he could. The beast finally dropped the daughter and tried to escape, but purportedly became bogged down in some thick mud. Other alarmed villagers appeared and proceeded to relentlessly beat the creature to death. It's unclear whatever happened to this story after that or what the creature had intended to do with his prize. An even more recent report comes from 1987. On June 1st of that year, 16-year-old Teresa Bier and 43-year-old Russell Welch embarked on a camping trip to Sierra National Forest, and the two were apparently quite attracted to the Bigfoot phenomena and had hoped to get a glimpse of the creature themselves. At some point, the two became separated, and Teresa would vanish without a trace. Authorities would later question Welch, during which time he would claim that his companion had been abducted by Bigfoot. Dubious law enforcement officials would conduct an intense investigation into the disappearance but find no evidence of foul play, forcing them to let Welch go. Considering that Teresa's body was never found, it is unclear what happened here. Was she truly kidnapped by a Bigfoot, as Welch claims, or is this just a simple case of foul play? It is not known. It's unknown.
Yeah, I think so.
Excuse me.
No body, no crime.
Well, yeah, I guess. Yet another recent case is that of 48-year-old Jason Richardson, who was on a hike in Northern California in South Lake Tahoe at Mount Talek, and at one point during his trek, he claims that he heard a guttural sound reminiscent of a human baby voice. Thinking that it was perhaps a real baby left out alone in the wilderness, he rushed to where he had heard the noise and then claims that he lost consciousness after being bashed over the head, which was later evident by the blood he found leaking from back there. And when he woke up, he says his head was bloodied and hurt badly, and that he found himself in some sort of cavern. And near him were two bear-like creatures which seemed to be communicating in a series of guttural grunts, which sounded strikingly similar to what he had heard before he had lost consciousness. Richardson claims that the creatures were somewhat human-looking and were covered in thick red hair with feet that were even hairier. They stood around 8 to 10 feet in height. Those are monsters. The terrified Richardson wondered if he was perhaps hallucinating. As he tried to move, he realized that his hands and feet had been bound with vines or some other plant material. And as the creatures approached, his description becomes even more bizarre. Richardson would describe them thus. Excuse me. Then they approached me, And I peed my pants, literally. I'm not ashamed to say this. I was so fearful. I had no idea what it was. I had no idea if this was it, you know? And that's when I saw their heads. Their necks were hairless, and they reminded me of vultures. Their heads had red hair, but also black feathers, or I don't know what it was, but it looked like feathers to me. Their eyes were dark, very dark and big as they got close to me. The creatures then apparently got quite aggressive, dragging him across the floor and kicking him. And then they went off and returned with wood and stone tools for some unknown purpose. They freed his hands and feet, but he was too scared to move. The creatures picked him up and tossed him out of the cave, and at one point Richardson claimed that he could feel a rock hit him from behind. Well, he wasted no time in running out of there as fast as his legs could carry him, and when he checked his watch, 10 hours had passed since the time he had been abducted by his enigmatic captors. Was this account real? Or was Richardson merely hallucinating on some substance, as he had first thought? Nobody knows. In another report from 1962, an Ohio woman claimed to have been kidnapped by a group of Bigfoot after they had repeatedly visited her family home when she was only 12 years old. The creatures had repeatedly approached the home and gotten into the habit of whisking away the girl during the night, and on some occasions, the father had barged in with his 12-gauge shotgun to shoot at the creatures, which seemed to have little effect. The biggest of the beasts was reported as being a whopping 14 feet tall. She would describe the creatures thus. His hair was long, about the same texture as mine, as I recall. The hair on all of them was about the same shade of brown, like the color of decomposed wood layer in the forest. I could see skin around the eyes, and that was tanned looking, and where there was facial hair, it was more sparse, with glimpses of skin showing through that area as well. I couldn't make out a neck. The chin was broad. The teeth were about the size of the nail on my middle finger, but they were more flat, and he had a mouthful of them, meaning the width of his bite was wide. His mouth was wide enough to show most of them, and his eyes were dark with some white around them, less so than human eyes. And they were kind. They were kind with crow's feet. They were kind with crow's feet on the outer edge of them. His skin was weathered like anyone who'd spent much time outside, like a farmer. His shoulders were very broad, though. I did see his collarbone on one side, which looked thick compared to humans. He was muscular and heavily built, but in no way fat. There was an adult female and others who were almost as big as the female, but didn't seem to be young or old. The girl claimed that she was often taken away, far away from her home, by the creatures, but that she did not remember what had transpired during the kidnappings. She only knew that she would be gone the whole night. At one point, things became more sinister. The girl remembers waking within a cavern or cave in which water was dripping from the roots emerging from the ground above. At this point, she could see the strange beasts surrounding her as she lay upon a slab of rock. And she said of the situation, "I wanted badly to scream some more, but I was just too tired to do that anymore. When I realized, they all started smiling and laughing. When I relaxed, they all started smiling and laughing. And I thought, okay, they could have killed me and eaten me, but they didn't. Evidently, some of them are kind, but then again, I've seen cats play with mice for hours before they kill them and eat them." The girl would invariably end up back in her home and was never harmed, but this did little to put her family at ease. The strange creatures would allegedly continue to harass the house, banging on the walls, tapping on windows, as well as huffing and grunting loudly outside all night. And they would also communicate with each other outside of the home, on which the woman would say the sounds they made were deep bass laughing, chortling, snickering, and sounds like someone who couldn't pronounce words well. They communicated with each other and with their thoughts, just as the male did with me. I had no interaction from the younger ones, and the female adult only smiled or sighed heavily when looking at me. For the longest time, the woman kept her family's story secret for fear of being ridiculed, but finally came forth in an effort to get others to share their experiences. She would go on to say of her reasons to come forward, I hope it brings awareness to the suffering of experiencers and witnesses and allows them to speak openly about what has happened to them. Unless we all speak the truth, the world won't know what's been hidden and still being hidden from us. Do we want future generations to carry on living the same lie? Our world is richer and more interesting than most people could ever imagine. These are not just creatures, they are quite intelligent and resourceful enough to keep from being caught or killed. Yes. What do we make of these strange cases? Are these wild imaginings and fabrications, or is there something more to them? Have people really been kidnapped by wild, hairy humanoids and taken off into the wilderness, or are these tales just too crazy to be true? Whatever the case may be, there are certainly enough of these bizarre accounts to be worthy of notice, and they are intriguing enough to at least ponder. These stories lie right there within the mythos of Bigfoot and the many mysterious forms its legacy has taken. There may forever be debate as to whether the sightings and accounts of hairy hominids hold any weight, but there can be no doubt that those of people who kidnapped by them deserve their own place among the strangest of the strange. That was a good story.
Yeah, that was. That's the most I've ever seen put in one spot.
Exactly.
One time.
That's why I love this guy's work. I mean, he doesn't just uncover one little parcel. He like finds everything. I've never heard many of these that I just read.
Right. Yeah, me neither.
Several of them I have, but most of them are brand new.
That's kind of cool.
That is really cool.
Kind of creepy all at the same time, though.
Yeah, and the similarities of the stories with the big boulders being placed over the entrances and stuff, I think those are really interesting. Those are interesting stories because, again, they must prefer to live subterraneanly or at least wherever it's possible.
Right. You know, Digger Dog in chat said, and this is off the topic of strange hominids.
Okay.
Well, not necessarily. He said he saw something being taken from Rachel, Nevada, it sounded like a police escort, and he had to pull over, and it was covered, and so I wonder what that was all about.
Yeah, did you get some pictures?
Oh, yeah, good question.
Yeah.
Sorry, my lens on my camera was a bit shaky that day, and I don't know. Digger, you want to call in and tell us all about it?
Yeah, if you want to share what you saw, that's cool. Love to hear about it. He says, yep. Okay, he says, yep. So the number is 720-923-0500. And you can call in and be a part.
Yeah, Julia, what hoodie did you get? And did you get the zip up or did you get the classic? Because, I want to know.
Oh, she ordered another?
Yeah, apparently she was talking about she got the Mayan one.
Mayan?
The Mayan calendar.
Yep.
Mayan.
Okay.
Mayan.
Yeah, I think it's Mayan, but it could be Mayan.
I think it could be pronounced either way.
Yeah, well, it sure could be, because the month of May.
Potato.
Tomato.
West Coast and mid.
Representing?
Mid.
I don't know how to do the fingers like this. West Coast.
It's good.
You know I'm all gangster. Yeah, that's me.
We're all gangster up in here.
We're all OG. We're all OP, original portalers.
Oh.
We're original portalers.
That'd be OPP, original paranormal portalers.
Oh, yeah. I'm down with OPP.
You down with OPP?
You know me. Absolutely, folks. All right. So that was a good article. I hope you guys enjoyed that because it's really a lot of information and it brings you kind of up to speed on some of the claims that are out there as far as these experiences of people being taken and in the worst ways, in the worst of possible ways in many cases for, the women.
And some of, especially when they're talking about they gave birth to a deformed child,
Yeah, two of
months
those.
later,
Yep.
And, being held for more than a few days, a year on a couple of them.
Yeah, I know. Oh, my
Craziness.
God. And to be there so long that she, couldn't... I mean, and it makes sense. It said she went a bit crazy, but,
right.
How could you not go crazy in that situation? And then how could you just go back to life? I'm just going to go back to life and just be normal now. No, you're not. You're never going to be normal after something like that. you're never going to be okay
No,
with that
yeah.
kind. And it sounds like she during her treatment decided that since nobody believed her, she just wanted to go back anyway because at
Right.
least that made sense to her. And it's hard to say. It's how it's tough sometimes, to hear some of the things that people claim.
Right.
And to just not, I mean, and it's just human nature to be like, what? Because things are so far out of the norm.
Right.
And that was something I had to learn to remain open-minded, because of course I've got opinions. I have an idea of what I think this stuff is. I have an idea what I think it isn't. But in talking to so many witnesses and experiencers that have brought whole different things to the table, it's like,
Right.
it does take you back, and it makes you go, wait a minute. The initial reaction is, could that be possible? But I've learned that everything is possible. It's all possible. There's nothing that isn't possible. Now, take it or leave it. Everything we cover on the show, there's no way we can substantiate any of it as fact. Even my own experiences, I can't prove any of it to you, other than the footage that you see on the break, the first break of the night, the green footage in the UFO break.
Right.
That's mine. That's how I captured that, and that is an anomalous aircraft. I can't make heads or tails of it. It's not a plane. It was silent, and it was very bright going through the sky. But I can't show you the other ones. Yeah.
It wasn't a plane.
It was not a plane. It's not a plane. So, but that's the case for all of this paranormal stuff. Is there's no way to prove it, and to some people, there's no proving any of it anyway. They
Right.
just don't want to believe.
Right.
And so that's kind of the conundrum of it all. But we are moving up to our last break, literally about 30 seconds away.
Wow.
That's cruising tonight, folks. But that's the way it rolls here on the portal. We're going to get back to more of this creature wildness and weirdness coming up after the break, of course. We've got more. Actually, I think I got a whole nother article of some of those similar stories. They're not exactly the same, but they're similar. And I haven't compared them to make sure it's not absolutely redundant, but some of it's kind of good to get both takes on. But if I didn't already close it, I don't know. But we're going to get into more of this when we come back. So buckle up, hang on, and give us just a couple minutes to go to the station breaks, because we're on the network simulcasting tonight. We've got to take the breaks. And so that's why those of you on YouTube get these musical stylings of me and some videos I put together. So
Yay!
yay. So here we go. Last break of the night. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes. Don't go away. one last segment to go, ladies and gentlemen. It's gone fast tonight. I hope you're enjoying yourselves, and thank you so much, everybody, for being here with us. Of course, if you're listening on TFR, iHeart, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live, stick around because Paisley Wild will be coming up next. Her 2 full hours of the spaces between. And tonight she's discussing the element of air. So she's going over the elements lately, and it's really interesting. Great information, and don't miss it. She also simulcasts her show on YouTube, on her YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/the spaces between. Right now, we've got a call, so to celebrate this, we better go right to the call. And this is area code 707. You're on the air.
Yeah, Brett, this is Digger Dog.
Digger, welcome to the show, brother. Thanks for calling in. So, fill us in. What's going on, dude?
Okay, well, yesterday I drove from with my oldest son from Mesquite, Nevada, over to Sacramento, which is roughly 600 miles.
Oof.
And along the way, we decided to cut across the center of Nevada along the extraterrestrial highway, which was a real kick. That was the first time for me.
Okay.
And we stopped in naturally at the Alien Inn.
Oh,
and
cool.
When we did that, it was about, It was about 10 o'clock in the morning. Talked to the owner and her son. They were there. They were cool. Those people were really nice there. We stayed there for maybe a half an hour talking to them.
Uh-huh.
And from there, we started to head west on I think that's 375. We got about 20 minutes out, and here comes a state police car coming towards us with these lights flashing. But not going really fast, but his lights flashing. We say, okay, what the heck? He must have a call somewhere behind us or something. And about 30 seconds later, here comes a second police car with their lights on in our lane, slowing down. Okay, so the next thing, because my son's driving, and I have a dash cam that I generally run all the time.
Okay.
So I have that on there. So I turned it on, switched it, because I was taking video on this trip with it.
Okay.
And here come a couple more police cars right behind them with their lights flashing in both lanes. Then all of a sudden, there's this big wide load truck comes, and you have to, and behind that are 2 18-wheelers, and they're bringing 2 things covered that you can't see what they are, but they're wide, just about as wide as the road was there, which I figure has got to be at least 20 feet, 25 feet, or 30 feet wide.
Oh, man.
I mean, 2 cars, it's a nice-sized lane. Yeah. So I jump out, and I grabbed my camera and took a couple pictures.
Ooh.
You can't figure out what they are. One of them looks dome-type. The other looks something else. But there's nothing out there with a police escort like that. It was like probably, by then, it was probably close to 11 when we had this happen. And there's no big construction around there other than Area 51 for probably 75 or 80 miles.
Oh, my God.
Mining. There's some mining there, and that's about it.
Sure.
So,
wow.
It was something else.
Yeah, that sounds like it's not something you see every day. You were able to not... Go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, were you able to, like I've seen videos where people have recorded these weird convoys going by, and there's tarps over something, but it looks like a saucer. I mean, it looks like a saucer. Was that the case for these? I mean, did they have any kind of recognizable shape?
Well, they were wrapped in like a green plastic type thing. In fact, after I go through all my pictures, because I just downloaded everything today and just only took a quick glance, I might be able to send you something in the next day or two that you can use later on.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant. I'd love to take a look at them for sure. That's exciting stuff. So I got another question. When you're at the Alien Inn, what did you order?
We didn't. My son didn't want to eat. We had to eat in Mesquite. We knew we had to drive 600 miles. We didn't want to get over the mountains because the storm was coming into the Sierras there, and we wanted to get over before it started snowing. even though I have a 4-wheel drive, is not comfortable driving down Highway 50 in the snow. So
No.
we just barely managed to make it. It was it was a little nip and tuck there for a while.
Well, I'm glad you made it okay. Now, I'm curious because it does seem, I mean, they've got to transport those things around somehow.
Yeah.
You know, when they're moving them, and I have no doubt that they're in possession of these craft or these machines of whatever origin. But I suppose they would have to move them around somehow. If they couldn't airlift them, then the next option is to drive it along the road. Wonder where they'd be going.
Yeah,
though.
well, again, the only other thing I was thinking was that if it's part of some rather large construction over at the base, and where they had to come from, because this is early in the morning, my guess is they probably came from the Vegas area. Maybe it started at 2 in the morning and had this escort go all the way up, say, 95, if you know where that is on the west side, then kind of over to the Alien Highway, because that's probably where they were coming from.
Wow, that's really intense. Yeah, that's a cool experience, brother. I can't wait to see those pictures. That really sounds exciting.
Yeah, like I say, I only took 2 or 3 because, I mean, it happened so fast.
Well, thank God you didn't get questioned or anything like that. Like, hey, what are you doing taking pictures?
Oh, no. No, I was taking pictures, and the cops just waved at me at the end.
Did they throw candy then, too?
It's a parade.
No, not there. No.
Okay.
I don't think they wanted to get out because in the morning there at Rachel, they told me it was 11 degrees in the morning. They're low.
Oh, jeez. Ugh. Well, yeah, that's not any fun for sure.
Well, like I said, when we got there, it's still in the mid-30s.
That's crazy. Wow.
Well, again, you have to realize that's in the neighborhood of about 5,000 feet where that is.
Yeah, so it's up there. What are we at here, Don? Like 2,500?
Oh no, we're 25. I would say closer to 28.
2,800. Okay. So yeah, we're at about 2,800 where we are in the north of Idaho. And you're right, it does get cooler. But yeah, Don was just showing this. We actually have a menu
From the
Alien Inn. So it was funny when you said that. That was sent to us by Chris and Cherie Geo. It was really cool of them. They were there when they went through that area. Yeah. They live in Vegas now. So
my brother who lives in Mesquite says if you go there, get their hamburger if it's lunchtime. It's really good. Oh. And I found out from the owner and her son that sometimes people will drive like 150 miles just to go get their hamburger.
Wow.
That's ridiculous.
That's a hell of a burger. That's pretty good.
It must be. Well, I put it this way. I looked at their prices. They're reasonable. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But by the way, I did buy something there. I bought a patch that I'm going to stick on the roof of my Forerunner. No, on the ceiling, that is.
Oh, cool.
Of my Forerunner. I have patches from places I've been.
Oh, very nice. Yeah. Yeah, they definitely they do all right, I'm sure, on the tourist trade with all the weirdness that's going on over there.
Oh, yeah. During the spring and fall and maybe the summer, they do okay. During the wintertime, we were the only people there.
Oh, okay.
Nobody wants to go there when it's the low is 11 degrees.
Yeah. I hear you, brother. Wow, that's great. I can't wait to see those pictures.
Yeah.
So when you can, send them through to Paranormal.
Yeah, probably. Like I say, I'll probably try to get them out to you maybe tomorrow. I've got a lot going on, and I got to try to clean up a car that's been beat to death for 2 weeks.
Oh, all right, brother. Well, I appreciate it. I'll look forward to seeing them, and thank you so much for calling in.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot, Brett.
Oh, that's awesome.
Take it easy, Don.
Have a good one.
Good night.
Wow.
That's cool. See,
that is cool.
This is why I love having the phones.
Right.
It's such another element to the show. And granted, we're not a call-in based show like some shows. They rely on the fact that people call in. But I love it when you guys do. And I'll always put everything else on the back burner because it's great to talk to you guys. We just love talking. Don't we, Don?
Yes, we do.
Ooh, if it comes talking, we love talking. And it's always great to hear you guys' experiences. And what was under those tarps, we don't know.
We don't know.
But it's curious. It's
Where
weird.
were they going?
Where were they going? What
Area
were they
51?
carrying? Yeah, that's the wild part. It's like, what's going on out there? And on those, especially this time of year when there isn't as much traffic because it's
they're
cold.
probably moving stuff.
That's when they're moving stuff around because there's not a lot of witnesses. They probably don't do it at the height of tourist season.
Probably not. Somebody gets, hey, what's under there?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's very cool. Cool stories. I can't wait to see those pictures.
Yeah,
That'll be
that's
fun.
going to be cool.
All right. Did you have anything you wanted to go over, Don?
I haven't been able to get anything to come up. My computer's just.
Well, you know what? That leads us to a good last article for the night.
Oh, okay.
And rather than revisit more Bigfoot stories, God damn it, it did that again.
It did what?
It always sucks my tabs all down, and I don't know why the hell it does that. Dang it. All right, sorry, didn't mean to cuss on you guys, but I can only take so much. All right, today's last article, which I assume is the last article, we'll find out. But this is coming from proofofalien.com, and this is top 10 real-life alien encounter stories. So an encounter with aliens, we're going to have to blow this up, Don. That needs much bigger font, love.
It's tiny and gray, just like my favorite aliens.
I'm glad you said aliens. An encounter with the aliens from other planets is something that doesn't happen too frequently with Earthlings. All right. However, out of whatever little count of such alien encounters are reported, some of the encounters are really hair-raising and would bring anyone to the edge of their seats. Here are the top 10 real-life alien encounters collected from first-hand accounts of the abductees themselves. So the first one is number 10, disappearing of Sonia. Oh, that's a pretty wild picture. It says, a British woman called Sonia had the feeling that she was abducted, as she also feared that the aliens would return to take her back with them. Her husband had installed CCTV cameras in the room. One night, the camera captured her vanishing on her bed, just to return back after 13 minutes, the exact same way she had disappeared. Wow, so there's footage of this? I'll have to look into this. If there's footage out there of that would be really cool. So it's Sonia, okay. Number 9, the Stanford abduction story. Look at the 60s all over these ladies.
Wow.
That was high fashion back then, folks.
Okay.
That was the cutting edge. That was the Vogue look.
The Vogue look.
Can you look at the hair? Oh, my God.
There, every woman.
This is Mona Stanford, Elaine Thomas, and Louise Smith. 3 friends got abducted by an alien spaceship on the 6th of January, 1976, while they were returning from Lancaster to their hometown of Liberty, Kentucky. The alien spaceship was massive metallic disc-shaped object with ring of red lights around the midsection and a dome at the top. The ladies were later subjected to lie detector tests, which they passed with flying colors. There's a lot of stories. I've never heard of this one. Have you?
No.
I've never heard of the Stanford abduction story. These are new. I'm going to have to leave this open and pull up the more comprehensive accounts of these tales. That's pretty interesting. So this is number 8, Kirisan Lumoyezovinov's alien encounter story.
Awesome.
I can't say that. Luyuzinov's, I don't know. It's a name that I obviously am not going to be able to spit out tonight, so that's as close as it's going to get, folks. But his story is, Russian politician Kirsan had an encounter with aliens on the 17th of September when he was being abducted by yellow-suited aliens.
Yellow-suited. Were they in gold lame again?
I don't know. I don't know what lame means. What's that?
It's a type of material.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like
No.
70s when they went, skating, they were in the gold lame suits.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay,
Gotcha.
there you go, yeah.
All right. So after being taken aboard a transparent spaceship, he was initially facing issues understanding the speech of the aliens, which later on became easy as telepathic communication began to happen between the Earthling and the alien. There's another one. I think that one sounds kind of familiar, but this one is number 7, the Buff Ledge abduction story. While working in a summer camp at Buff Ledge in 1968, 2 teenagers claimed to have been abducted by aliens whom they had spotted earlier in a UFO. The aliens, as per the abductees, did not have lips or ears and had webbed fingers and slits for noses. Various samples were taken from abductees before they were returned back, and people who were not aware of the abductions in the camp and nearby sightings had also reported sighting strange lights in the same night. Interesting. Pascagoula abduction story. Oh yeah, these guys. Co-workers Calvin Parker and Charles Hickson had reported of being abducted by aliens on October 1973 when they were out fishing on the west back of the Pascagoula River in Mississippi. The men, after being abducted, were subjected to a series of examinations which they could not resist as they were temporarily paralyzed.
We'll give you a test you cannot resist.
I got a test for you.
kinda
You
like
can't
it.
resist. Although they were fully conscious, the aliens were 3 in number. That was a weird segment. That was just the last sentence. The aliens were 3 in number. Or it could just say there were 3 aliens. Anyway, Travis Walton is number 5, which is, of course, legendary Fire in the Sky story. While returning from work on the 5th of November, 1975.
There's the 5th of November again. You mentioned it earlier.
Yep. I didn't know that was the 5th of November either. So now I got 2 things to remember about the 5th of November. Thank you very much. Thank you. That was my Dr. Seuss version.
Sure.
Travis Walton and his friends spotted a bright orb in the woods. When Travis got down to investigate, he was shot by a wide beam of bright light and was taken aboard the spaceship. And he was found after 5 days, and he could not recall anything about what happened in between. After many days, Walton would slowly recollect about his encounter with the aliens. And, of course, it's a great movie. Very interesting movie. All right, here's number 4, Hair of the Alien. Hair of the Alien?
As opposed to Hair of the Dog?
Yeah, Hair of the Dog that bit you, yeah. All right, in July 1992, Australia-based Lebanese Peter Khoury had an encounter with 2 aliens who looked like women, but one of them had a pretty long face with protruding chin. This woman was more than 6 feet tall, pressed Khoury's head
into her bosom,
and in a desperate attempt to free him, when Khoury bit. Oh my God!
Wow, really?
Wow! Part of the bosom to tear off a part of it. It didn't bleed. Neither did the woman show any signs of pain. Later, Khoury discovered some blonde hair wrapped tightly. I can't even do this.
That's freaking awesome. Just highlight it for the people watching.
Those of you on YouTube, we'll get the adult version of this.
This was the second encounter.
The first one happened in July 1988. There you go, folks. This lucky devil. I don't know what the hell to make of that. I don't know. Was it Curly? What is that? Titan Curlies or whatever. Allagash Water abduction story is number 3. 4 artists were out a trekking trip into the wilderness of Maine in 1976, where were being abducted by an alien spaceship. The event had occurred in the Allagash Waterway, which is why the abduction case is known better as the Allagash abduction case. After being abducted, these men were carried onto a spaceship where they were subjected to a number of examinations by the aliens. Like many other abduction cases, the men do not remember anything about this and could only recall when they underwent hypnosis sessions. Betty and Barney Hill are next. While returning from a vacation trip in 1961, U.S. Postal Clerk Barney Hill and his wife Betty had an encounter with aliens, and they were being abducted. They were being abducted by the extraterrestrials and were being taken into an alien spaceship where all sorts of medical examinations were being carried out on them. Again, this one is really, really pretty cool because there was some physical evidence left behind as far as some kind of residue on her dress. And also she could accurately describe what would later become known as Zeta Reticuli, which was not known at the time. but she was able to describe and map out the star system that she observed while in the ship. Not that the ship went there, but I think she saw like a star chart, or it was explained to her. Was that it, Don?
It was, she saw what she thought was a star map, a star chart.
Yes.
Yeah, and she believes that it was Zeta Reticuli,
Right. Well, it was later discovered.
Right.
Yeah, by a
Well, she didn't know what it was. Yeah,
Right.
she drew it, and later it was examined and compared to.
And it was nearly a perfect match for the Zeta Reticuli.
And it's unfortunate she didn't get away with that book, because apparently they had given her, or she had picked up a book. She was like in a waiting room, I guess, and it was some kind of a book, and she picked it up, and the captain was going to, the person she perceived as the captain was going to let her take the book, as the story goes, and like a science officer or something like that, nope, can't do it.
Can't do it.
So yeah.
They're pretty tight-lipped about their books, apparently. But
Seem pretty tight-lipped anyhow, just those little slits.
yeah, that's true. But that is still stands out today as one of the most. In fact, wasn't this the first abduction case?
The first mass spread one, yeah.
Yeah, so it's really. I mean, the story. This was the first one that really hit the prime time, and people heard about it. And it's really compelling story. I think there's definitely something going on there, and not generally pretty good. This one is the Dr. Hopkins incident, Dr. Herbert Hopkins incident, which is number one. And this one is Dr. Herbert Hopkins, an eminent doctor and hypnotist, got a phone call from a man who claimed to be calling from a UFO organization and wanted to discuss matters about a UFO sighting investigation that Hopkins was carrying out then. The man was at his doors at the very next instant after the doctor hung up his call, and the appearance of the man was strange as well. He was completely bald guy with no eyelids and was dressed completely in black. His speech was complete monotonous one, and he asked the doctors to destroy all the evidence that he had gathered during his investigation. After some discussions, the man suddenly commented that he was running low on battery and needed to push off. This is a Men in Black story. So it's not really an abduction. It's just a Men in Black visitation story.
Yeah, but it kind of makes you wonder what the investigation was leading to that he was doing.
Right. What was he too close to?
And that doesn't sound like a Men in Black. That sounds more like a Watchers type story.
That's true. Like a rechargeable watcher. As it may be, because it talks about, and it really the more robust story talks about how it looked like an android or a robot.
Yep.
It was not like a flesh and blood kind of manifestation or emanation. It seemed like as if it were mechanical. So that's pretty bizarre. Pretty bizarre, folks. But that's what we excel in here at the Paranormal Portal, and that kind of concludes our journey through the portal tonight. I don't know, Don, did you have fun?
I had fun. I always have fun.
Yeah, me too. Me too. We always have a good time here on the portal, and that is widely to do with all of you being here with us and taking part in the festivities that are the portal. I don't know what the phone line went. Okay, there we go. So, again, in closing, as we're closing here, I want to remind you, if you're listening on TFR, iHeart, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live, stick around. Paisley Wild's coming up next. The spaces between, she's talking elements. Tonight's element is air. So you don't want to miss it if you've been following the other ones. And if you haven't, check out her back catalog on both TFR or YouTube, rather. And you can hear more. Brent and Don, thanks so much. Great show. It goes too fast. It does go
too fast, yeah.
It's good to see you, brother.
Yeah, he's been missing again.
Yeah, we miss you when you're not here, but it's great that you see you today. And to all of you guys, thank you so much for coming in. All 70 of you that are here. It's a pleasure as always. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you click the bells. We do these shows live 5 days a week right here on YouTube, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So I'll be back tomorrow night with Night Terrors, which is an hour-long show, talking about ghostly encounters. But I hope you will continue to be a part of our family. I hope you will spread the word. Please share these out on your social media. You have our permission to share these on Facebook or share them wherever you have friends who are into the paranormal you think that might enjoy it, or to groups or whatever. We just love people finding us, and it's great to meet new people all the time. Don, anything in closing?
Teespring Portal, no, Xmas 2020 for your 20% discount at our Teespring store.
Teespring.com, folks. There's a lot of great designs there, and special thanks again to T-Fetch Thomas, who helped design several of the shirts that you see there. The Grays, the Mayan Pyramid, and
The Black-Eyed Kids.
The Black-Eyed Kids.
Let me in. No. Not by the hair on my chinny chin.
That's right, and he's got a lot of hair on the chin.
Damn
chin.
right.
So.
He ain't getting none of it.
All right, folks. That's going to wrap it up for us, though. But thank you so much for being a part of our journey tonight. We hope you'll continue to join us, and I'll be back tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time with the Night Terrors. So hope to see you then. We love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Remember all the magic in the day and laugh as much as you can. All right. Love you guys. Good night. Take care. Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night.
Censorship and regulation is becoming an ever-growing problem in today's